BionicDance is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Well, an idolater is somebody who worships something in the place of God. And you worship, listen to this, you are worshiping whatever you think is absolutely necessary in order to have a happy life. God is supposed to be the only thing that you feel like you absolutely need to be content in life.
The sheer number of assumptions and false equivalencies in that statement are staggering, from assuming God will make us happy to claiming that liking something quite a bit is equivalent to worship of it. It seems so often that theists assume that other people live their lives as if they, too, were not merely religious, but the same kind of religious, that if they can't survive without religion, neither can anybody else, that it's an inherent part of a worldview. And it just plain doesn't work like that. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. So you'd think there's plenty in life that can make us happy, no God required. And more than that, there are probably things we need in life to be happy that the mere presence of a deity isn't going to help. You'd think a homeless guy would say, screw this God fellow unless he can get me a bagel. You'd think. But also, what the hell kind of ego does this God have, thinking that just hanging out with people, just being in his presence is enough to make us go, oh yeah, life is good. Nobody is that awesome. But according to their scripture, God sure seems to think he is.
Doesn't mean you don't want other things. It just means that the only thing that you need in order to be happy in life is the presence of God. And when you are dissatisfied with what you have, you are saying God is not enough, and that is improper in the same way as if I stood up here week by week and talked about somebody else's wife all the time.
And this is another one of those false equivalencies. Saying that something isn't enough is not the same as claiming you need something else instead. But if it turned out that the presence of God fulfilled your happiness needs by, say 80%, adding a few other things, food, entertainment, doing the hunka-chunka, whatever, would shore up that last 20%, the only way that could possibly be a problem is if your God is a petulant little shit whose ego is bruised if you don't decide he's perfect. If a human acted that way, we'd think they were being a perfect little shit, wouldn't we? So how is it that God gets a pass?
Oh, it is. He is so lucky to have her. She is so beautiful and so pleasant and so talented. Can you imagine the joy of being able to come home to her all the time? And it must be awesome. But you know what? In God's sovereignty, he assigned me to Veronica, and I will accept my lot. I mean, you would think like, well, what's wrong with Veronica? Like, what? She must not be much of a woman or a wife if, JD is always complaining about her like that. That would dishonor her.
It is possible for someone to dishonor themselves. What if Veronica really was a total bitch? Those do exist, you know. In fact, it's kind of ironic that he chose the name Veronica, given that in the Archie comics, Veronica is the spoiled rich girl who's always behaving kinda cunty. Might that possibly have been a bit of subconscious slip-up there? Just saying. But let's suppose Veronica really is lovely. That doesn't mean she can't be better than Dude Boy's wife. Sure, it'd be kind of obnoxious, one might even say passive-aggressive, to act like the spouse is no good at all while praising Veronica instead. But there is a middle ground between treating the wife like she's worthless and treating her like she's perfect. And it's the same with any gods people feel the need to worship. You'd think, anyway.
It dishonors God when our happiness is contingent on something besides him.
Maybe we just mean different things when it comes to the word dishonor, because I honestly don't see how that word can possibly apply just from not thinking God is 100%. I mean, okay, shouting it from the rooftops might fit just a little, but offering honest criticism isn't dishonor, isn't public shaming. And yet, this guy seems to think that not climbing aboard the God is perfect train is somehow pelting him with shit grenades. Someone please make sense of that for me. Or agree that, yeah, this guy's reasoning sucks like the mighty Hoover.
So let's just get real, all right? What is it that makes you dissatisfied about your life?
Not enough spaceships, robots, and laser guns.
What are you looking to in the future and say, well, when that happens, then I can finally be happy and feel secure? Is it when you make a certain salary? When you graduate from a certain school? We shouldn't feel that way about anything in our lives except God.
You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't say why. Oh, sure, he says because doing otherwise shames God. But why does it do that? He says we should think God's perfect, but why should we? It would really help if he'd justify his statements, back them up with reasons and logic.
Now again, we might want to make another $10,000 a year, or we might want to be married, or we might want to lose 20 pounds. There's nothing wrong with that, but our soul should depend on nothing for security and joy beside the presence of God.
Someone help me picture it. You're alone. There's nothing on TV and you've watched everything from your YouTube subscriptions list. You haven't been to the bookstore for a while. But you know what? You're perfectly content just sitting on the couch, basking in God's presence. Sure. Right. I just bet that's how it goes. They say God helps those who help themselves. But if you're helping yourself, what do you need God for? There are just so many contradictions, assumptions, and logical failures in religion. Couple that with the insistence on faith over facts, and is it any wonder at all that I'm an atheist? Seriously. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. You're still here? It's over. Rate the video, subscribe, and close the window. Go.